So let's talk about ego and maybe how you can have a healthy ego, how you can manage your ego to give you actual results. And then I kind of realized that I made a video recently talking about building an alter ego, but I did not realize that in the process of building an alter ego, so we all have egos, and egos makes us simply feel good about ourselves. Whenever you say I am something, that whole construct of I am is the ego. Ego is the identity itself. When we say ego, a lot of people make it seem like it's a very bad thing to have. But no, ego is what drives us, is what causes us to actually stretch. At the same time, what most people know as the ego is an unhealthy ego. And then by the end of this video, you have known the difference between a healthy ego and an unhealthy ego, and how you can go from unhealthy to healthy ego. So the ego wants you to feel good basically. So it gives you a sense of identity so that you can go out to the world and make things happen. But with that identity, it constantly needs some form of approval, some form of validation, because it wants you to feel good. And sometimes, sometimes what it ends up doing is it tries to make you feel good over other people. It tries to make people feel good over other people. So the ego, let's say, how does it do that? The ego focuses on outcomes, things that will happen in the future. Mind you, it has already done things in the past, which it used to validate itself, but it needs to keep doing that over and over again, predicting future events. Meanwhile, we basically have no control over future events. Now, when you may want to check your ego is if you have an unhealthy one, is it's going to cause you to lose friends. It's going to cause you to have wrong judgment. You see, when you hear stories of how somebody got involved in how somebody brought a knife to a gun battle, that was the ego driving him. The ego making him feel like with his knife he can take down somebody with a gun. The ego would take past events, distort them, and would want to make you apply future judgments. And we see this a lot when people make heavy predictions that are nowhere close to the truth. So when you begin to ask questions, the person with an unhealthy ego will begin to feel threatened. And when you ask questions about testing their ideas, they feel threatened, and the result of things like manipulation, insults. Sometimes they might even walk away from the conversation because you are trying to like figure out their thought process. But in the process, you are hurting the ego because the ego says, "This is what it is. This is what we are going to. This is what we are going to do," just so that the person feels good, not so that they could win. So the ego would always try to be right instead of trying to win. It's focused on validating itself. It's focused on the future outcomes. The unhealthy ego wants to feel so good relative to others' goodness. So what that means is, it's kind of like if somebody can attain this level of success, I should be able to attain more level of success. This is why I say the ego is okay for us to help us grow. But at some point, it needs to be checked. At some point, it needs to be capped. Because you'll just end up being on this treadmill of trying to prove yourself. And it's a problem we see in the self-improvement space, where people just want to keep improving and improving themselves, not actually wanting to know at what point do you feel improved. Yeah, because we kind of feel like we attribute ego to a lot of negative things, but self-improvement space these days is becoming very, very unhealthy. Everyone coming out with his own trends. He slaps on good video editing, and whoa, before you know it, it's a very good trend. It's going viral. It's going from maybe YouTube to TikTok to Instagram to Twitter. Yeah, just riding on the egos. Unhealthy ego would always seek validation. It will always tell people you can do it and only you can do it. It becomes an ego when, and you have an ego problem when you begin to realize that it is only you who can get something done. Now, like I said, that ego has pushed you to believing you can get it done. But believing nobody else can get it done is an actual problem. I know there are scenarios you may have seen yourself that way, but then again, it's still unhealthy ego. So let's talk about the actual differences of what are they focused on. The unhealthy ego needs validation. So it's focused on the future because it has to predict that whatever I do or say should be correct, has to be the right way. There should be no different path beyond this. The healthy ego knows that I will need a sense of prediction for the future, but it's okay if I don't get it. So instead, it will focus on what it needs to get done rather than rather than the outcome. It will focus on the process rather than the outcome, rather than being right. So, and a typical example is somebody who goes to the gym as a beginner. Now, the guy with the unhealthy ego, he's a beginner at the gym, and he believes because he's probably tall, he's big already, maybe fat. He sees somebody who's smaller than him lift 100 pounds, 200 pounds, and he thinks because I'm this big, and he's probably maybe of a smaller size, maybe he can't see his muscles very well, just smaller size basically, but he looks bigger already, and he tries to slam the same 200 pounds. That's not going to work. That's unhealthy ego. He could get himself injured. The person with the unhealthy ego is somebody who will take game videos from social media that's being practiced by experts, people who have been in the gym for 5 to 10 years, and think because he said that on social media for 60 seconds, he may probably do that at the gym. Now, that could cause massive injuries. But the guy with the healthy ego will go to the gym. He might ask for help. He might say, oh, please, I'm new at the gym. Would you mind assisting me? Maybe he may get assistance, but I feel at the gym, I have never seen anybody ask for assistance and did not get it. Because the gym is more of a community than a place to show off. You see people who go to the gym, and there's a story in my head I'm trying to say, but at the same time, I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to stroke my own ego. But it goes like this. I'm at the gym. I took about 3 or 4 years break from the gym. So now I'm new to the gym. And so I'm tall, I look okay, like people think, okay, this guy is probably not new to the gym, he has his ways around. And so what happens, by the weight I could bench was obviously less than my previous, what I could bench in the past. So I was benching, I think about 180 to 100 pounds. And this guy who was benching 200, he's smaller than me. And he made a statement with his friend saying that, as big as this guy is, he can lift the 200 pounds. And I said to myself, well, it seems he has been consistent for years. He's trying to compare his version of 5 to 10 years consistency, maybe 5 years in the past, to my maybe me being at the gym for a month or two. Fast forward to a year, 18 months from then. So mind you, he's on supplements. I am not on supplements. 18 months from now, I see him, he benches the same 200 pounds. Now I bench 200 pounds. He now says that, okay, fine, I can bench what he can bench. Now, like I said, I don't want to stroke my ego, but this is where it goes. I know that I do not see the need to go beyond 200 pounds. I do not see the need to push my muscles beyond 200. Maybe I think I'm 110 kg. I miss a kg. I'm not really used to pounds. 110 kg. And he has been there for like 18 months. Same 100 kg. And even with his supplements. So the healthy ego knows when to stop. So a few tips is, so you don't let your ego control you. You get to control it. A few tips as well. Don't take yourself too seriously. So like I said, the ego wants us to feel good. Wants us to feel that we are the best at something. It wants us to understand that, or it wants us to show people that we are so good, they should overly rate us. So don't take yourself too seriously. You can be wrong about 10,000 things. And well, it's okay. It's okay. It's fully okay. And on this topic of ego, you would always need understanding. You would always need understanding as a key point to control your ego. Because if you understand that, if that person understood that, I've not been to the gym for 3 years, he may not have made that statement. And also, if if it's you in that situation, you should get to understand that you can't outperform somebody who has been on the craft for 5 years before you even came into that craft. Another thing I think is super important is the fact that you need to learn the subtle art of actually not giving a fuck. And we hear this a lot, man. I see it a lot in probably the dating scene or the manosphere space, where they tell you to just work on your money, looks, and status. Just a way of showing off. But we have completely led a generation of men, yeah, who are focused on external validation, which is where the ego really, really likes to play at. Very few people embrace internal validation, where they say, I'm grateful for this. You know what? I'm going to live life in the moment, work on the tasks, instead of focusing on the outcome. So the guy who is on this self-improvement is going to say things like, now I have the Ferrari, so I can attract as much girls as possible. But in reality, the Ferrari attracts more of the men than the women, if he really understands the concept. At the gym scenario, the unhealthy ego would say, you know what, we're going to get these muscles. We're going to get the biggest muscles so we can get the highest number of girls. But in reality, when you're at the gym, you get to have some muscles collateral, right? But if you get too much, too big, at some point, you begin to irritate the girls, or a large chunk of girls. It's like girls who do these very large BBLs and thinking this is what the guys want. I mean, BBLs are quite alright. They're okay. The guys love them. They love to play with them. But in reality, a healthy size is actually what you need. A healthy size of muscles, a healthy size of BBLs is what you need. Another tip of social practices: you should try to expose yourself to situations where you can potentially fail. And to do this, you need to develop what is called the beginner mindset. Super, super important. And I always say that the beginner mindset is all that you need actually to live a very happy life, where you are focused on the now, you're present, you're grounded. And this is like one of my best tips I think I've discovered recently. So to have a beginner mindset is to know that you do not know it all. But if you constantly keep practicing